Well, you might recognize where I'm standing. We're in Yonge and Dundas Square in the heart of Toronto. This is where Reverend David Lynn was charged with the offense of busking merely for preaching the Christian gospel. As you know, we heard about this case. We saw the charge on video, the police grabbing his PA equipment, and we went to you, our viewers, for help to recruit the funds to hire a Top Gun civil liberties lawyer to fight for freedom of speech and freedom of religion. Well, we have big news today, and joining me now are Reverend Lynn and the lawyer, Sonia Schickman. Sonia, great to see you again.
You as well, thank you.
Reverend Lynn, I understand that some congratulations are in order. Tell me what happened.
Awesome. Well, I heard from my great lawyer, Sonia Schickman, that after some deliberations, they've dropped the charges, and they decided, or something along the line, she could speak a little better, that I was charged wrongfully or the wrong law or something along that line. And so apparently it's been dropped, and hopefully I don't have to worry about preaching on a street corner anymore. You know, it's good news.
Now, I see you're wearing what I think is a GoPro-style camera. Is that like a body camera?
Yeah, it is a body camera. You know, especially with what happened before, it's good to just have a second witness to what's going on, especially on the street. Sometimes it can get busy, and I don't want to be harassed by the police anymore, and I want to make sure it's on camera anytime that I'm out here.
Well, let's bring in Sonia. Great to see you again. Sonia Schickman, you are a liberty-fighting lawyer. We've talked before about how you come to that honestly. You come from, you were born in the Ukrainian Soviet Socialist Republic when it was part of the Soviet Empire. Correct. It's free now, although still under assault by Vladimir Putin. You love freedom so much, and we raised funds from our viewers to help you fight for Reverend Lynn. Give us a report. The Reverend says the charges were dropped. Can you tell me some more detail?
Absolutely. So if you remember, we spoke about what section he was charged under, and what he was charged as is a busker. So the police alleged that he was a busker, which for those who don't know, and I had to look that up at one point, basically a street entertainer. So the biggest victory is that the Crown came to the realization that what David Lynn does is not unimportant, and it's not merely entertainment, nor is it busking. And so in recognition of the fact that they have charged him under the wrong law, because David is not a busker but rather a preacher, they withdrew the charges.
Now, what does that mean? Obviously, the charges are dropped. Does that mean they can be laid again, or do you think that this is a signal, a precedent, that they will no longer charge Reverend Lynn? I mean, he's wearing the GoPro-style camera. Do you think they're going to come back, or is that just speculation?
It's pure speculation. One thing we have to understand about the way the Canadian system works, unlike very much what we see on American television, the Crown, Prosecution's Office, and the police do not actually function together. They don't get together, sit down, and decide who to charge and who not to charge, with very rare exceptions. So what happened is David can no longer be charged with that same offense that on that particular day when he used the keyboard as part of his preaching. He cannot be charged with that again under the right section.
Because that would be double jeopardy?
Double jeopardy, exactly. Yeah. That's what we know as double jeopardy. Is it possible for David to be charged again? Because, of course, there's still the issue of using amplification without a proper permit. Yeah. And we spoke a lot about it in terms of the fact that you cannot get a permit for longer than one day if you're preaching. So that presents some difficulties because obviously David is here on a regular basis. It's my understanding, David and I spoke a little bit about it, that in fact some permits for the use of amplification on long-term basis have been provided to some preachers. Whether or not that's actually a one-time discretion that was used by an administrative worker or something that we can see and hope to see happening again, we don't know at this point.
Actually, to correct you on that one, they never received any permit for the amplification. Right. But one guy that I know actually got, I guess, a busking permit, even though he's not a busker, just for freedom of speech, but they told him he's not allowed to use the amplifier. So
and that's true.
It's the same kind of thing, but it still doesn't really deal with the case, because down here, as you can see, we have a busker right now about to set up his amplifier, and it just... I mean, how do you compete down here? It's really difficult.
Yeah, it's a lively place. I like it down here. I mean, it's boisterous. We had some guys, those frozen statue type guys, and like there's a lot going on. There's huge billboards. There's concerts here. So to me, the fact that the cops charged you, it felt punitive. And the reason I say that is because I saw the video of it. I think if we hadn't seen the cell phone video, I wouldn't have been so persuaded. I mean, it felt a little bit punitive. Have you had any interaction with the police recently, or has it all been through Sonia, your lawyer?
We ended up doing a Stop Bullying Christians rally about a month later or so like that, and I put down all the documentation through the Toronto police, and some of the same police had to escort me around to do the rally, which was interesting. But I haven't had any interactions with them since on the streets. They haven't bothered me.
I have to say, you kept your cool. I mean, I observed very carefully your demeanor and comportment. I didn't think you were belligerent. You certainly weren't rude. You certainly didn't swear. I mean, you kept your calm. I want to ask you if you think that, I mean, we heard Sonia talk about the precedent from the prosecutors. Do you think the police now might give you a little bit more leeway?
Well, I hope so. They've seen me preaching here for 5 years, and this is the first time that they've really taken an action to actually try to ticket me like this. And so they know me. They know I'm not a threat. I'm actually helping people. People listen to what I talk about. So I can't see them bothering me anymore. I really can't. It would really be silly. Out of all the things that you could be doing with your time, bugging a street preacher doesn't really seem to be.
When I heard about this case, I knew we had to get involved because our viewers love civil liberties, and it was a thrill to be able to find you, Sonia, to take this case.
Thank you, Ezra.
Tell me a little bit about your views. I mean, let's call this a success, and I believe that if you had not been retained, that I think they would have proceeded. Again, we can only guess the future, but without you fighting, I mean, Reverend Lynn, don't you think they would have proceeded?
No, it was very helpful. Everything you guys did, I mean,
well, I give credit
I'm indebted to both of you. Thank you.
You had the courage to stand firm, you had the smarts to fight, and our viewers had the dough to help pay the bills.
And we really have to give some credit to the viewers, and I think that the campaign you, Ezra, started and getting the viewers involved actually really had broad impact. I can tell you that I have friends in the United States who have watched your show and were very inspired and touched because they belong to some Christian communities that also had their similar problems. So your viewers' involvement, I think really assisted in opening and educating people really about the potential difficulties they can face from police.
Well, thank you, and I'm proud to be associated with both of you. Reverend, I hope to see you preaching here to your heart's content in the months and years ahead. And Sonia, it's been a pleasure to see you apply the law in the way we all hoped it would be. And hopefully in the future, if we find other people whose freedom of religion, freedom of speech, freedom of assembly, freedom of association is in jeopardy, hopefully we can work with you to get another win. I feel like this was a baby step today, but a baby step in the right direction is worth an awful lot. So thanks, you guys.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Ezra.
Nice to see you again.
You too.
Good to see you, Sonia. For TheRebel.media, I'm Ezra Levant.